Welcome back to Tweener. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Today I have a very special guest, Dennis Novikov. Thank you, Dennis, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. I hope you're staying safe. We were just talking that you're in New York right now visiting your girlfriend. How's that going for you so far with everything going on?
It's going well so far. Just trying to stay active and just kind of, I guess, kill time and kind of find some new hobbies that I haven't been able to do while on the road.
So what are one of those hobbies?
Well, right now I've actually started doing a few workout classes with her. She got me into SLT tread,
Okay.
so it's kind of like a fun little workout that I started doing. Um, we were filling out some surveys a little earlier just for fun.
Nice.
So just 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 a few silly things like that.
Yeah, did you where were you when you found out this was happening? When they first announced
Like
it?
when they announced like the tournament's being canceled.
Yeah, yeah, I would
I was
say.
in New York. I was about to get ready to go to Bakersfield for the future for Bakersfield and Calabasas,
Oh wow.
and that's kind of when I found out, and then kind of put my plans into a little bit of a whirlwind.
So what happened after that? Did you cancel everything? Did you try to talk to someone first, or did you just find out like what was happening
Um,
just on an email?
just honestly, just trying to figure out the extent of how long the hiatus would be, and kind of the information about like because we weren't sure originally if the futures were canceled or if it was just the challengers. So kind of just trying to get the most amount of information as possible.
Were you planning on going to Phoenix?
No, I was going to play the future in Bakersfield instead
Okay.
because I could have played the doubles in Phoenix, but I want to get my singles ranking back up. So
Yeah.
I was going to play the future.
Okay. Because it seemed like, from what everything was happening, I was scheduled to go to Phoenix, and then the tournament was canceled, so I canceled Phoenix, and then all of a sudden, Tennis Channel announces that they're going to cover the entire tournament of Phoenix, and after Indian Wells was canceled, and then 2 days later they just canceled everything.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like everyone's just one person is canceling one thing, and then everyone else is feeling kind of not left out, but kind of like panicking in the sense of like they thinking they have to cancel as well if the other places are doing it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when the NBA got canceled, that kind of also really put everything else into kind of a spiral.
Yeah. I think that was the scariest part when it came to just listening to everything that was coming on in the news, because then it became what's going to happen next. How is everyone going to get paid? I mean, are you I've actually been asking this around in the sense of what are you going to do now that tennis is on a permanent hiatus besides finding something to do? Are you going to try to find a job, or are you going to try to find something else to pay, or are you just kind of in the whirlwind of everything right now?
Kind of a little bit of the whirlwind and everything. Like right now, like I mean, I'll probably start coaching a few lessons
Okay.
where I can, especially because I can always do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm taking a few online classes in the upcoming weeks to try to finish my degree,
Okay, very
and
nice.
then we'll see where the rest of the year will take us, I guess.
Okay, great. And speaking about your degree, shifting it into more of your tennis career, you attended UCLA for a little bit. What made you? There's two parts to this question. One is what made you join UCLA Soleil, and then what made you kind of turn to that pro career after going to UCLA for, I guess, that short amount of time.
I mean, one of the reasons I went to UCLA is just, I mean, I was young coming into college. I was just turned 18
Okay.
right after it was the Kalamazoo U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Open stuff. I just turned 18, so I was pretty young. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that I felt like I needed to mature myself, and I wasn't fully prepared to kind of handle the rigors of like a full pro tour schedule
Okay.
right out of high school. And I felt that the tour was kind of getting older as every year kind of went by, and that if I go to school for a year or two, that it wouldn't really affect me in the long run, and it would actually kind of give me a backup option.
Okay.
So, and right now, I'm actually really thankful that I did because I mean, with everything going on right now, we don't know how long tennis is going to be out, and this gives me the opportunity to go back and kind of finish my degree from UCLA, and that's a great school.
Of course. And what are you finishing your degree in?
I was busy econ, but I might be switching to something else just because I haven't been in school for a couple of years. I've taken a few classes here and there
Mm-hmm.
throughout the last few years, but maybe I'll look to pivot to something else.
What was the main interest going into college? when you first went there for college athletics, I guess?
I mean, apart from like kind of improving my tennis, obviously just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do in the sense of a degree and kind of which way I wanted to go with it.
Just to get an idea of what you might want, and if tennis didn't work out specifically, or
So
things
I
with
mean, I
that.
took like a broad kind of list of classes.
Gotcha.
I wasn't really focused on anything specific. I took like a world's arts and culture class. I took a science class, took a math class, a history class. So I was kind of trying to just cover all my bases and just kind of see what kind of clicked for me.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think especially you going to the pro circuit very quickly after UCLA and understanding that you had all this momentum after Kalamazoo being one of the top juniors coming into it, going to the US Open. What was that, I guess, that roller coaster of how fast you got your name out there to how you're, I would say, just it seemed like there was a lot of pressure very early in your career once you started winning consistently at especially after Kalamazoo and the US Open.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's pressure and stuff. I mean, I think at the early stage of the career, it's not as much just because no one expects you to kind of, I guess, win, and you can kind of just kind of keep building up your rapport of that. I
Okay.
feel like the pressure kind of comes more like once you have had this success and whether you can like continue it.
Yeah. Do you think it's different nowadays because now you have, I mean, obviously you're in your mid 20s and that's not old at all, but now you have kids that are 18, 19 years old like Felix, Dennis that kind of have that pressure now in the sense of they need to, after they didn't have the year that they wanted to last year in people's eyes, that oh, they didn't go far in a Grand Slam, oh, they crashed out of these tournaments early. What do you think has changed since then about the amount of pressure people receive now versus when maybe you were coming up in the rankings?
I mean, I think pressure is just, I mean, specifically, I think it's an individual person. I feel like some people have more and some people have less. It just kind of depends on who is in your circle, your team, and how they help you, I guess, tackle it.
Yeah.
And kind of, because I feel like everyone has their own like methods of motivation, teaching people, and I think it's kind of more of an individual base.
Okay.
Like for me, pressure for me might be different than pressure for someone else.
And do you try to, what kind of pressure would you say you put on yourself? More individual, big picture? How would you define it for you?
I mean, for myself, I'd say more individual. I mean, I expect a lot of myself, and I guess when you're not living up to it, I think I'm sometimes my own biggest critic when it comes to that.
Would you give yourself credit? Like you won the Dallas Doubles Challenger title this year. I mean, you haven't had a bad year in perspective, but what would be the biggest critique you would have when dissecting your game?
I mean, right now, I mean, from the doubles game, I feel like my doubles is really going well. I won Dallas. I won a round at Delray, and we almost won our second match with Christian. We almost, I mean, they made the quarterfinals of Australian Open, so not a bad team at all.
Yeah.
So it's very close on that side. I think for me, the most important part is getting the confidence back in the singles game and picking that up.
What would, if tennis was to, fortunately, and I knock on wood when I say that, what would be your goal, I would say, in your singles game to kind of pick back up this year? What would be a goal for the end of the 2020 if tennis was to resume right now?
I mean, if tennis was to resume right now, I mean, I guess top 200 by the end of the year would be a very achievable goal.
Okay.
I mean, I know for me, I just need one tournament, and if I go deep, then odds of me winning it are pretty high. So, I mean, tennis is a very kind of momentum-based sport, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. So, I mean, it can happen very quickly.
So you're trying to be more realistic or more optimistic, would you say?
Realistic. I can be optimistic as well, but I feel like if I set realistic goals and I can achieve them, then and if I surpass them, it'll be better.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person you're talking to, and I think the more realistic you are, the higher you will go. But that just may be me, and I think other people may see it differently.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I think that comes to how, I guess, the expectations you set for yourself.
Of course. And as moving on to kind of, I was actually while I was doing my research, I was looking at your Instagram page. I hope you don't mind, but I think one of the biggest things is you like to make. It seems like you like to make hype videos about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like they're like made with other people as well, but yeah, I feel like they're kind of good, like little motivational things, and kind of showcases what you've been working on in the off season, and it's kind of just a concise way of kind of displaying that, and in a format that people can enjoy and actually, I guess, take.
Mm-hmm. Would you? I'm not. Trust me, I'm not trying to make fun of you in any way. I just think it's really cool that people try to show that or showcase themselves to their fans or to their followers in a more unique way. How how would you say you've been doing that, I guess, with social media?
I mean, I guess, I mean, just showing what I do on a daily basis, what events I partake in off the court, on the
Mm-hmm.
court, um, kind of like my training regimen. I feel like it's kind of good to show people what they don't see,
Mm-hmm.
because people only see the matches you play on the court and maybe some practice sessions here and there at the
Mm-hmm.
tournaments. People don't see all the work that you do off the court, or they also sometimes think that tennis is everything in life when
Yeah.
it's not always the case. Like,
Mm-hmm.
tennis players have lives outside of tennis, and we like to enjoy them when we're not working as well. So I think people enjoy seeing that.
That's that's interesting that you point that out because I feel like there's a lot of people that are trying to do the same thing and trying to showcase what tennis players are actually like off the court. What would you, from what you just said, what would you recommend to someone like me or to someone else and how to promote, I guess, the sport of tennis or promote the athletes that play? What would you recommend us doing differently or something that could be made better in your eyes?
Um, that's a tough question. I mean, there's a lot of different athletes that do a lot of different things. Like some sell like I guess some like T-shirts and stuff like that, and others post things that they want you to interact with. I think interacting with the athletes on a base, like on a more consistent basis, will help, because
Mm-hmm.
other companies will see that this athlete has fans or support from people, and that they can push products for bigger companies. And I feel like if bigger companies see this, then it provides more opportunities for the athletes. I feel like sometimes people may support the athletes, but not like, I guess, in a full kind of way. Like, it's kind of sometimes just takes a click or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so more of like the business side perspective of
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the more the fans can engage with the players and the athletes, I think the better it is.
okay. I think for that it's very hard too because I feel from my perspective it's very difficult to maybe I think I was very fortunate to have you respond, but a lot of people don't necessarily do that all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to that atmosphere, just having a casual conversation could really go a long way within the sport, no matter what environment you may be in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, like, even, like, for example, like, you contacting me and stuff, I feel like it gives your viewers some content, and it kind of gets my name out there as well.
Yeah, of
I feel
course.
like we can both, like, help each other in that sense and work together to kind of provide, I guess, awareness for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually wanted to. I actually found a video on YouTube, and it's not bad. It's just when you were at the Taste of Tennis, you made your own Voss water blend. Do you remember
Yes.
that? I want to see if you remember what it was called and what it was made of because you gave it a name too.
Yeah, it was the Novikov infusion.
What was it made of?
Uh, Watermelons, strawberries, and lemon.
Good memory. do you like do you like doing that a lot, or is that just something you
Yeah,
have around the house?
I honestly thought that was a great event. I've boss has been really good to me, and they invited me to the event and do my own little infusion, and I kind of like participating in those events. I mean, it's fun. It kind of gets you out of the house and kind of socialize with other players, companies, and just you get to be seen.
Must be nice to have a sponsor, honestly. You also are really into fashion, aren't you?
I do like fashion.
What is your favorite brand to wear right now without flexing really hard?
Um, I mean, I have a lot of Off-White, which I like.
Okay.
Don't really like particularly their newer stuff
Of
in the
course.
last few months. I mean, I was into kind of the Yeezys originally a couple years back, but I feel like they've just become too, I guess, mainstream in the sense of like too readily available.
Yeah, that's fair. It's been more
I
accessible,
kind
I
of like
guess, to
finding some
everyone.
of the things that like people, they might be kind of a mainstream brand, but maybe like an item that isn't mainstream, if that makes sense.
So what would that?
It's like a more exclusive item.
Oh, from like a big brand, right?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
like, for example, like Supreme drops box logos or whatnot. Like,
Oh yeah.
I like the
You like the
I like that
reverse ones a lot.
I do. I like that it's also that it's not easily accessible. Like, yes, you could buy it online, but if you don't buy it within a half a second of it coming out, it's not that easy always to find.
Yeah, I agree. What made you get into it? Because I feel like that's a very, while expensive, but very niche kind of trade for people.
I don't know. Just that honestly, I think maybe living in LA and just kind of being exposed to it,
Yeah.
I think is probably the main thing.
Who do you think is the most stylish guy on tour right now?
Most stylish guy on tour. Um, that's a tough question.
Besides yourself, I
I
guess.
feel like it's a tough question just because everyone has such different styles. Like my style is different
Mhm.
than another player's. Like some people might dress up more, where I'm more of kind of a street style.
What do you think of Riley's and Tommy's fashion sense?
Riley and Tommy's fashion sense.
Yeah, because
I
it
think
seems
it's
like
not.
you're geared towards that kind of street
Yeah,
fashion esque.
I feel like Riley's is more a little bit more fashionable in the sense of like fashion shows,
Okay,
where
gotcha.
like my clothing is more like I feel like I can wear like on a daily basis, and it doesn't like it's not that crazy.
Yeah,
It's more like
it's
everyday type of
simple.
things.
It's simple yet people know what you're wearing all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Wow, that's cool. And you got the flashy cars too. You got the Lambo. Nah, it's cool. I really do enjoy it. You never really get to see that from a tennis player's side too much. And I think,
Yeah, no. Gotta enjoy life off the court sometimes when you can, you know?
yeah, 100%. What's so you have the hobbies that you're working on. You are going to be teaching tennis. What's one other thing that you would like to learn? I guess this quote unquote off season.
I was actually thinking about learning to code a little bit.
Really?
I had a couple friends that kind of taught themselves how to code and kind of transitioned into full time jobs with that.
Oh wow.
And I guess since I won't be playing tennis for the next 6 to 8 weeks, however long it is, that's plenty of time for me to sit down and kind of get myself to
Wow.
learn it.
What? Why coding though? Just because it seems cool, or you can develop your own things?
Yeah, I mean, it seems cool. I can develop my own things, and even when tennis resumes, I can do it on the road.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty, from my understanding, it's a pretty reliable job that everyone needs right now.
Yeah.
It's very in high demand.
Awesome. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you're staying safe in this time, and I hope that we can get through this very patiently because who knows? I'm going crazy just staying inside for this long.
Yeah, but stay safe out there and just try to remain calm and sane.
Thank you, Dennis. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for joining us.